Hello everyone, and welcome to another installment in our series of interviews conducted with prominent figures of Royal College history, organized by the editorial of the Royalist magazine. Today, I am joined by one of our iconic old boys. He was the Head Prefect in 1979, a winner of the Dornhorst Memorial Prize, and he captained the first 11 cricket team for 2 consecutive years, including at the 100th Battle of the Blues. He then went on to play as a cricketer for the national team representing Sri Lanka, and after his retirement, continued his career as a match referee for ICC, now being regarded as the most experienced match referee. I am speaking of course, Mr. Ranjan Madugalle. Thank you, sir, for joining us today.
Thanks, Ravinshu. Nice to be with you and speak to your magazine and the editorial committee that's in front of us.
Yes, of course. Before we start, of course, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know that it must be very hard to find time for us, but this experience, I'm sure, will be of benefit to many of the boys who are listening to us today.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure and it's an honor to be giving an interview to a group of students and the next generation, which will go far and wide. I am not properly attired like you in a Royal College tie and suit because I came to watch a practice match where the Royal College First 11 is playing in preparation for the next season. So do excuse the low standards that I have kept as compared to you.
No worries, sir, not at all. So, sir, I think among the current generation of Royalists, you are mostly well known for your achievements during the latter part of your time in school. Head Prefect, Dornhorst, so on and so forth. But most students probably aren't familiar with the earlier time that you spent at college. For example, the fact that you were born in Kandy and you started your schooling in Trinity before coming to Royal for middle school. So I'm curious, sir, what were your early days like here at Royal, and were there any significant changes in culture between Trinity and here at Royal?
Yes, quite a bit of that. I was privileged to attend Trinity College Kandy in my formative years from the low kindergarten up to grade 6. I moved to Royal College in 1971 into grade 7. The changes were simply due to the fact that my father was a government servant, and when his career moved from one district to Colombo, then we moved here, and Royal College was within the 2-mile radius of our home, and that's how I ended up at Royal College, and possibly one of the better moves that my father made, not only in far as his career is concerned, but also mine. But when I say significant difference, Trinity College was a smaller school. It was our family school, my uncles, my cousins, everyone there. So it was almost natural that I had to go to Trinity. But Royal was different because I was very new to the school. And the classroom that I attended to reflected society, which was very different from my time at Trinity. So very soon, I had to adjust myself to be accepted as a Royalist. And that acceptance came not by anything else, but by being able to prove that I was a good person. And the ability to contribute towards Royal College in some shape or form. At that time, I didn't know what my career path would be. But I think as time went on, cricket was my chosen path. And it is through that my career evolved, and through that I was able to maybe contribute in some way or the other to the betterment of the college.
Of course, I think you definitely had a lasting impact here at college. I think the general public would know you as Ranjan Madugalle, the match referee, experienced, knowledgeable, tough but fair. But what were you like as a student? If you had to describe Ranjan Madugalle, the student, in 4 words, what would they be?
If you ask my friends, they'll give many different descriptions. But by and large, I think you could say I was hardworking. And I was fun-loving. I think those 2 aspects would come out. But my friends who grew up with me from grade 7 will give me more derogatory sort of updates on me, and I value that and I have a good laugh about it.
Of course, sir. So as I mentioned, the latter part of your school career, you had many achievements, being the first 11 cricket team captain for 2 years, including at the 100 big match, being the head prefect, Dornhorst winner, quite the remarkable career. What would you say was the highlight of all of it?
Just to be accepted as a Royalist. The rest to me little accolades that you pick up. And if you have done your contribution to the college, some of these things come with it. But to me, the greatest thing that I can say I achieved at Royal was the acceptance as a Royalist and the privilege to have entered Royal College. Those are the two main things that I remember. The rest of it, yes, when you walk into the college hall or a prefect's room, you see your name and you get goosebumps. But when you got it at that time, you didn't think about it so much, because if you did certain things well and there was recognition of that, you got what you wanted to get or deserved at that time. But it is maybe now 40 odd years later that I actually, when I do walk in, sometimes it just flashes past your memory. It's a good feeling to have. But there again, I feel that they compare nothing with the fact that I was accepted as a Royalist. That to me is foremost.
Of course. So even back then, these achievements of being both the head prefect and the Dornhorst, which are coveted positions that any young Royalist would have dreamed of, to you they were just another step on being accepted as a Royalist. Even back then.
Yes, I would say in a way it was that. But for me, recognition comes when you do things consistently well over a long period of time.
Of course.
Whether you're a cricketer or doing your studies or being appointed a prefect, just like you're being rewarded for a lot of hard work you did not in the last 6 months, but over a period of time, from junior school to primary school to middle school to the upper school. So it's a continuation of good habits, good principles, good philosophies that you have carried through. And when the time comes, you get duly recognized. So don't take me amiss. I mean, I consider it an absolute honor. But it's not something that you start off when you come to Royal, you're an absolute outsider. Your first thought is not being, will I be head prefect or will I be a Dornhorst? I wouldn't even know that.
That's true.
All what I wanted to do was, when I stepped into class, outside class, and come back, for guys to say, hello Macha, nice to see you. So that was the philosophy then. Other things flow and come by.
So of course, other than all your various achievements, I'm sure you had a lot of great memories here at the 7 years you were at Royal College. What would you say was your fondest memory?
Oh, just the classmates and friends you made on and off the field. They're lasting memories. A lot of you will think that I remember my teammates most. Yes, I do remember. In fact, the other day we met as a group after about 30 years. But what I remember most was the scholars at Royal College. The people who joined from outside through exams. People who got 3 A's, 4 A's, which were very hard to come by. Who were prefects alongside you. They didn't know what cricket was, so we tried to teach them what cricket was. But for me, those people used to get me to come to school at 6:30 in the morning to take me through some homework, because I had played cricket for 2 days and I hadn't done. So before I get chased out of class, they used to come early, teach me certain things. And for me, that's the highlight. Some of them are professors, some of them are lecturers. But at that time, they took it upon themselves to be bigger than what their role should be. And those are lasting memories that I have of my life at Royal, in addition to the great camaraderie we had as teammates. So it was not just sporting stuff on the field, but it was a lot of friendship and help off the field. I think that made it the complete universe Royal College is.
So the community is, of course, a very important part of being a Royalist, and such a diverse community at that, like you said, academic, sportsmen and all. So I asked this because you were a prefect. The role of a senior prefect has changed over the past 40 years, but maintaining discipline among the boys is still one of our basic duties. A very common accusation we get is that discipline used to be better back in the day. What do you think of this? Is it just looking back through rose-tinted glasses, or maybe there's some semblance of truth there?
I wouldn't say that anyone who makes that accusation is looking through tinted glasses. I seriously think that they say it because there is a reason for it. And the reason must be a good reason, right? Because as I told you earlier, certain things if you do consistently well, it comes out. The same way, if you do certain things not so well, it comes out. I feel that I wouldn't say discipline's gone back or gone down, but let me put it to you this way. I think levels of discipline could be better. And the onus of responsibility on that falls fairly and squarely on the students themselves. Because we are in an era now where we can't be governed in a dictatorial way. We have to self-govern ourselves. And if you're true to yourself and the principles of the school, I think the standards of discipline will come to the fore. I don't think as a group of prefects, you all must feel that you all need to improve one group better than the other group. Yes, that might be a priority, but I feel that the message of improving your discipline should come from the boys themselves. I will tell you very openly, when I was in school, I didn't want to be punished or detained for doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
There were times where we purposely did something wrong because we didn't want to go home for some reason or the other, because it was a classmate's birthday and he had brought some cake or something, so we want to indulge in eating that. But it was like, I felt that I hadn't done myself justice if I had done the wrong thing and got punished. And that came from within me, and maybe a lot of the people at that time. So we never took being at Royal College for granted. We are, that's as I always said, we considered it an honor to be here.
It's a very good message for the boys listening, that discipline of course comes from within more than anything else. Yeah. So beyond your school cricket, you of course advanced to play for the national cricket team in '79 and were one of the members of the first ever Sri Lankan Test cricket team, and you even captained the team during the latter part. So of course I imagine that cricket is like a major part of your identity as an individual, but was that always the case? Did you dream of being a cricketer even as a child?
I think that's a dream I had. Being at Trinity, there were two sports I wanted to play. Rugby, because that was again the sport Trinity was well known for. But cricket was in my blood. For some reason, I just took readily to it. So my intention always was, at that time we had no test cricket or anything, but my ambition was possibly to play for your school and maybe for your country. But the playing for the country came after about 3 years of playing for your school. Then I realized maybe I have it in me to proceed further. But the love, the passion for cricket is what actually drove me as a kid, drove me as a teenager, drove me as a national cricketer. So, yeah, that's really what it is. So, I could honestly say that I wanted to play cricket, and I have reached or achieved my dreams, whether they were in great technicolor or black and white. I'm not too bothered, because it's something that I have gone through in the past. But cricket's been an important part of my life, but never my life. Because when we were playing, even for the national side, we were gainfully employed. So cricket, you are happy to play, but I always knew that once you step out of the line, I had another life to lead. So it was very easy to balance and look at the game in its correct perspective. That may be something that's not there entirely now, but times have changed, because cricket now is a truly international professional sport, where a boy of 19 can make a living out of the game, whereas when we were 19, there was no way you could make a life out of the game. So you had to make a life of the game outside.
And you said that even as a child you were interested. Was there anyone that you looked up to in particular, someone you could call a role model?
I would always say that my parents, because it's role model not as a cricketer, role model as people who inculcated the correct values in me.
Yes.
Then when I went to school, obviously there were very teachers and masters that were an integral part of my development. Too many to mention. but a lot of them are responsible for the person I am now. And I thank them wholeheartedly, and some are not here, some are in somewhere else, but I'm sure they are in a very good place.
It's a very interesting perspective of, the development as an individual being more important than cricket just being another aspect of your life. That's quite a fascinating insight. And so after representing the country for nearly a decade, you retired from professional cricket at the age of 29. And then you went on to become a match referee in '93, and you were promoted to a chief match referee in 2001. And now you hold many records for being the most experienced ICC match referee, having overseen more than 400 ODIs, 200 test matches, 750 matches in total. It's quite remarkable numbers. So I'm curious, most retired cricketers don't go down this path. What inspired you to follow this particular path rather than, what else?
Absolutely accidental. Absolutely accidental, because the concept of match refereeing wasn't established then. So when I was around 37, there was this murmurings and whispers that they wanted to establish something called a match referee, where they overlook the laws, the playing conditions and the disciplinary aspects, to bring the game back to what they call accepted standards and values. And they were looking for people. And the CEO of that time, because I had met him as a captain when I was in Australia, he called me and said, would you just like to trial the concept? So I was working. I took my annual leave and went and refereed with a briefcase and a few cyclo-style pieces of paper, because we had no online systems, photocopies and all that. So from there, because I was in the corporate world, managed to establish processes, protocols, systems, and that's how it began. And here it is, some 20, 30, so as you say, 750 matches later, I can't recognize the role from now to what it was then. It's changed remarkably. But as in anything, life goes on, there are continuous improvements, and if you have been able to serve the game in any capacity that's helped it to grow or be presented better, you have good memories of it.
Of course, sir. And any particular sort of memorable moments in this long career of yours?
Quite a few. There are different times where I would consider one incident or one match better, but for me, the takeout of it is I've been able to see some of the best players in the world at close quarters. I have seen their skills and also known them as people. So to me, those are the takeouts or the takeaways from this journey that I have had.
Of course, sir. So at Royal, as an institution, we pride ourselves in not just nurturing our students academically, but also giving them that skill set that they need to face the world boldly and achieve success elsewhere. So, learnt of books and learnt of men, so to speak. So as someone who has achieved remarkable success in your career, were there any lessons that you learnt here at Royal that helped you later on?
Quite a few things, but if I had to just throw a few things out of my head now, I think the first thing was the values and the traditions of this institution. The second thing is the help and the assistance we got from our masters and teachers in terms of direction. And most importantly, to be able to respect your fellow students, whatever their capacity, whatever they did, whatever role they performed, to respect another as a fellow human being who adds value to the place you are. If you don't have those human qualities, whatever you achieve in life is of no value. And the other thing is that we always felt that we needed to hand over college to the next generation in better shape than what we got. That's something that we would say in your school song, as you say, repay the debt you owe.
Yep.
And how do you repay that debt? To take what you got, handle it well, embellish it, and give it to the next generation. So those are the little things that I can think at the top of my head. I mean, there are some people will say you have missed out on this or that, but in a short interview, what comes out is what has been in your heart for a long time. And those are the things that I felt really formed part of that.
Now, sir, being the head prefect, the first 11 captain and the national cricket team captain, leadership is something that you must be quite familiar with. So is there any advice that you would give for the young Royalists who hope to become student leaders here at Royal?
I think one thing is never do something that, never ask someone to do what you can't or what you won't do.
Okay.
Right? There are, I mean, leadership is a wide topic which we can go on for hours and hours. I think that's something as a leader. Second thing is a leadership role is where one listens as much as one says. It's easy to bark out, but it is difficult to win over. So there must be a buy-in to what you say and do. Communication to me is absolutely key. And unlike in our days, today's young generation is very inquisitive, their knowledge is very high, they're very clever, they're very intelligent. So the best way to get them to buy into what you want to do is to explain and communicate that. But in the process, you must not twist values and traditions. There is a habit in the last 40 years or 30 years that when you walk into college 5 years after you last actually experienced something, some of the boys say, that's our tradition. And I used to think, that certainly wasn't our tradition. So we need to be careful what we portray as tradition. So we need, and also we don't need to redefine ourselves from month to month. Because then your goalpost shifts. So those are some of the things that I think of. The key, I think, is, not to do things that you would not do yourself. Second is absolutely important to communicate, and it's more important in today's generation than it was in ours.
So yeah, as you said, from back when you were schooling 40 years ago to now, I'm sure Royal must have undergone so many changes. These interviews will be on for the foreseeable future. So to wrap things up, is there anything that you would like, any message that you would have for the future generations of college?
I think it's an absolute honor to have when you come through the Boak gates. If anyone thinks that walking through the Boak gates is an honor for the Boak gates, then he should be exiting before he enters. I think that's fundamental. This school has had great values and traditions from 1835. So, primary and foremost of all that is a great institution. And it's an absolute honor and a privilege to study here. And to keep that at the back of your mind and never ever think that you're bigger than the institution, bigger than the sport, bigger than the country, or bigger than your classmates. And if you are humble enough to recognize and accept that, I think you will have more moments of laughter, more moments of happiness, and sleep better than otherwise. So, to the future generation, I just want to wish them good luck. You all are a fantastic generation. I learned so much by talking to people like you. I'm fairly involved in the activities of the Royal College Union, and it's one of my great privileges to actually walk in, speak to the prefects, speak to different council members, to see how this institution can grow further and be recognized as one of the foremost colleges in the country.
Thank you very much, sir. This has been quite the insightful experience. Again, for taking time out of your busy schedule, I'd like to thank you. And with that, we'll wrap things up.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and all the best to you.
Thank you.
This is where it all started, so many years ago, 1975. Time has passed, times have elapsed, but traditions and values still go on, and that's what Royal College is all about.